So a Deadline article just came out, and Kevin Feige talked about what is supposed to come next in the MCU. But I'm not going to talk about all that. I'm going to talk about that in some other videos. But I'm here to talk about the situation with Jonathan Majors and how Marvel felt about that situation. So Feige says even before what happened to the actor Jonathan Majors, we had started to realize that Kang wasn't Thanos. Got a lot to say about that, but stay tuned for that. There was only one character that could be that, because he was that in the comics for decades and decades. And because of the Fox accusation, we finally had it. And that's Doctor Doom, says the studio boss. We had started talking about Doctor Doom even before we officially pivoted from Kang, he says. In fact, I had started talking with Robert about the audacious idea for Ant-Man 3 before Ant-Man 3 even came out. Okay, so now that's all he says about the Jonathan Majors situation. So yeah, what he just said, it really pisses me off, because what Marvel is trying to do, they wanted you, the consumer, to pay attention to this character, Kang the Conqueror. That's supposed to be the big bad. They wanted you to watch what's happening within the shows, and also watch what's happening in the movies. They wanted the movies and the shows to connect, so the consumer has to do extra homework to figure out what is going on with this character, Kang the Conqueror, and what's the story behind this character. Loki was the main catalyst, was the main show that people were supposed to watch in order to understand what's going on with Kang the Conqueror and why we had to care about him. Why we didn't get that in the movies, I don't know. Marvel bit off more than they could chew. They really thought that they could make all these shows and make everything connect with the shows and the movies, which it sort of did. It sort of does. Now it does, and it makes sense, especially with Ironheart and everything, and with Kate Bishop and Miss Marvel showing up in movies. It works like that. But when you are trying to build a story, trying to build the big bad of the universe, and you have to watch shows and movies, it's not going to work. That's why I feel like we should have had an Avengers film even before. I feel like we should have had an Avengers film in Phase 5. We did have the new Avengers film, but look, I love the Thunderbolts. I love it. I love the new Avengers. I love the team, but it doesn't. The post credit scene affects a lot, but it's not a film where it's like it's not like they're showing what comes next in the film. They showed Century and everything. They showed the new Avengers are coming, and in the post credit scene they showed the Fantastic Four is coming to this universe, but it's not an Avengers level film. And I feel like we've missed that. We were missing that in Phase 5, to connect everything and to show us what's supposed to come next. And with this Jonathan Majors situation, dog, Kevin Feige said that Marvel knew that Kang wasn't Thanos. I'm gonna be real. Nobody cared about Thanos until around Avengers Age of Ultron, when he got that gauntlet at the end of the movie. When they showed him getting the gauntlet, he said, "I'll do it myself." That was the moment where people were intrigued with Thanos, at least for me. He showed up in Guardians of the Galaxy, all that. He showed up at the end of the Avengers film. I didn't know who the hell that was. I didn't know his name was Thanos either way until Guardians of the Galaxy. And even the Guardians of the Galaxy, he was just sitting in a chair. He wasn't nobody that we cared about until Age of Ultron, and that was the build up. That's what we saw. We was building up to the Infinity Stones and everything. That was it. What they did with Kang the Conqueror, they set themselves up to fail, because they put him in an Ant-Man movie going up against Ant-Man of all the characters, and have him lose to Ant-Man. It doesn't make any sense. That's why I said it should have been an Avengers film or something, and have Kang be the villain, or have somebody that is an associate of Kang. Just like with Loki being the villain of the Avengers, the first Avengers movie. It's like we have to you have to build up these characters right. And I understand Jonathan Majors, he's a great actor, and this is the first time they had a big bad be an actual real person, an actual real actor, and they could have done it right. They should have done it right, but they dropped the ball when they put him in the Ant-Man movie. They have him lose to Ant-Man. That was a huge problem. And the Jonathan Major situation, that was just an excuse for them to get rid of him. I feel like they were happy that happened, so they can move on to Doctor Doom, who it looks like they wanted. It looks like they wanted that from the jump, but it was too late. It was too late, and now we're here with Doctor Doom, a rushed product. Look, I'm excited, but I'm gonna be real. The build up to this is very rushed. We got Spider-Man that's supposed to come out. We have the Punisher special, whatever, that's coming out next year, and the Fantastic Four is coming out this Friday. So we have 2 films that's set to come out before Avengers Doomsday. And we haven't seen Doom. Hopefully we see Doom in the post-credit scene. But we haven't seen Doom. The only thing we have seen is that post-credit scene in Thunderbolts. That's the only thing we have seen. And it has me excited. But this has been rushed. And hopefully they get it done. But I don't like what he said about the Thanos situation around Kang not being Thanos. He could have been Thanos. Just y'all dropped the ball. Y'all failed. And it's all right. It's okay to fail. But I just don't like how he did that, bro. I don't like how he said that. But that's all I got to say about that. There's more to come. Stay tuned, man. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe.